Hey, and welcome to another episode of Disrupt Your Now with me, your host, Lisa Kipps-Brown, and my guest, Basi White. I don't even know how to say your real last name, Basi, but so anyway, thanks for joining us tonight. If you're not familiar with the show, Disrupt Your Now is for people who are sick and tired of checking off the boxes and are ready to start creating their own boxes. Bossy's story is so cool. And I'm going to get him to tell you the details, but he has started the first comic studio in the entire state of Iowa. So, um, sorry, had to turn off my
You're
phone.
good.
Anyway, it's so cool and so exciting. I'm so glad to have you here, Bossy. And also, y'all, because we're going to be announcing something fun. Hey,
What's up? How you doing? How you
I'm
doing?
good. Tell me how to say your last name because I only knew White.
Yeah, so White is my legal last name.
Okay.
So Afia is, I actually got that from the language that my first name is from in Nigeria. And so Afia means white in that language.
Okay.
So that's my pen name is Basi Afia.
I thought it was your pen name and I figured it was
Yeah.
Althea, but I didn't want to slaughter it.
Yep, no, you're good. I appreciate you.
And say your entire first name for us because I love it, but I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, it's Aniekan Basi.
Okay, that's what I thought. I love
Yep.
that.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
I want you to introduce yourself to the audience, give them some background, and let them know where you came from and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so my name is Basi. I am the owner of Iowa and now Nebraska's first Black comic book company. I'm also the first comic book production and comic book publisher in Iowa in general.
Mhm.
But yes, I mean, I started the company at the top of 2022, and since then I've been on ABC, Channel 13, Iowa Public Radio, a bunch of newspapers, and some national magazines like Afrotech and Black Enterprise. And most recently, got a partnership with Colin Garrett and his whole team, and that's where I met Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah, just been doing a lot of things these past few months, going to different Comic Cons. I was in Chicago, I was in Omaha. I'll be going up to Minnesota here in a few weeks at the
Nice.
beginning of November. Been to a couple of different pitch competitions. The most recent one was for Hy-Vee, and I was over in Illinois for that one, and I won $3,000 there.
Great.
So yeah, just kind of making some rounds. Hitting the farmers market, just doing all those types of things. And
Yeah, getting out there and creating that network. And for the audience, I want y'all to know the way that Bossy and I met was I was in Iowa. Colin Garrett's dad, Ron Garrett, and I were in Iowa to speak, and at the Iowa Veterans Entrepreneur Conference, and we were doing a pitch competition. And Bossy is one of the winners, but he wasn't even going to pitch, and somebody that was supposed to didn't turn up, and that he is a great example of you got to have your stuff together, in your head. You got to have your pitch down because you never know when you. And so here we are, we working on a really, really fun project that I'm going to get you to talk about in a minute. But I wanted the audience to know that because you're a great example of you got to be ready because you never know.
yeah, that's definitely one thing that the Army taught me: stay ready so you don't got to get ready.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Hurry up and wait too, right?
Oh man, hurry up, wait.
I know that you loved to write growing up. Is that why you started the comic book company, or did you just love graphic novels also, or what?
Yeah, so I learned recently in one of my monologues that I have in my bathroom mirror that I'm a storyteller. My whole life, like people told me you're a writer, but I'm really a storyteller. It doesn't matter what medium it is.
Yeah.
So like I started off, writing books and I haven't published any of them or anything, just perfecting the craft, that type of thing. And so a few years ago, during the lockdown and everything, that's when the idea really started coming on to me of like, maybe I could make graphic novels. Like that's because I love comic books. I love anime. Most of my friends do as well. And then
And they're so popular with people of all ages.
Yeah, so and that's the other thing too. Like the Marvel movies and DC movies have made it more
Mhm.
popular, but then when lockdown happened, nobody really had anything to do except for sit on Netflix and watch anime.
Yeah.
So it kind of cultivated the industry. Luckily for me,
Mhm.
so now I realized I was like, well, okay, I have a market here. So now I can make these graphic novels and these comic books and. So that was kind of the setup for it. But the reason why I wanted to do it was because I think it adds, it just adds another layer of storytelling. Like when you can see it, when you can,
Mhm.
when you're staring at the page and you can see what's going on and you're imagining the what the characters might sound like, or, you're kind of, it's almost like you're watching a movie anyways, like you're
It
just
is.
seeing it kind of go by. And,
Mhm.
um, so yeah, I just wanted to do that because I had never done that in all my years of writing. And so once I started doing it, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm probably not going back to novels for a while.
And
'Cause,
you had never seen, or had you ever seen a Black character in a comic?
yeah, but they're few and far between.
Yeah.
And so as I got into the business, I started learning a lot of the numbers and stuff, and only about 5% of characters in comic
Mhm.
books and animation are actually Black. But I mean, if you look at the number of people who are of African descent that are parts of these this industry who are the consumers, it's
Yeah.
I think it's anywhere from 30 to 40% of the
Mhm.
of the US fan base is people of African descent. So there's a huge gap there. And I think part of that is because a lot of the content comes out of Japan and like other countries and
Yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah, for sure. It's not meant to be racist or
right,
or anything like
yeah,
xenophobic or anything, but that's just
no,
how it evolves. But yeah,
right,
and that's why for the topic of this show is I don't remember exactly what I called it, but basically finding your own niche through your own culture, your own
yeah,
life, something that you see that's missing. And so Basi is a great example of that. It's something he loved anyway, and he's looking around. He's like, wait a minute here. So if you haven't your own problem, not that he had a problem, but if you notice anything in your everyday life, start looking into it.
yeah.
So tell us how it works with doing a graphic novel, creating it, and all the way to publishing.
Yeah, so typically, it starts off where I'm laying in bed trying to go to sleep, and then I have an idea that just bloop pops
Yep.
up in there, and so I'm like, huh. So I whip out my phone, I just write down the idea, and then at some point I'll be in the office, and I'm just like, that was a good idea. Let me pull that up and see how I can maybe fit that into something that I'm working on, or anything like that. So that's kind of how my main comic book universe got created. Was I just had all these different ideas, and instead of trying to make a different story for each idea, I
Mhm.
adapted them all together. And so that's how I started creating this comic book universe that I've been working on now for like 5 years, something like that.
Mhm.
So I've been working on it since before I even started my company.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So
and what you said about being in bed, that's another great lesson for people. That is when you're going to get the best ideas. Is when you're not trying to, because you've given your brain the space
yeah,
to let it do its own thing. I'm like you, I'll wake up during the night and think of something or dream something or whatever, and I always write it down in my notes because
yeah,
you never know. And Ryan Garrett and I sometimes will text each other in the middle of the night because we get ideas. But that's the best thing um, to do, and so it's fun. I'm so glad that you brought that up. That you get your best ideas when you're sleeping or when you're in bed, even if you're not
yeah.
sleeping.
I mean, for me, it's just like late at night. Like that's typically when I get a little more creative. Like my
And
mind kicks
that
in.
is typical of creatives.
I don't know why that is.
I don't know, but my husband used to give me a hard time because I'm like, I would rather work from 8 at night till 5 in the morning or
Yeah,
whatever than 8 in the morning till 5 in the evening. And then my cousin who lives in New York City, he's been a writer and producer and everything since the late 60s. We went up there like 20 years ago. It's the first time I'd seen him in forever. He had the exact same schedule I did. I'm like,
yeah,
it's not just me, but I've read a lot of studies. Most creatives are more productive in the evening. So
Yeah,
We're not weirdos.
yeah, I don't know why, but that's just
Yeah.
how it is. But
Okay, I got you
yeah.
off track. So you come
No,
up
you're
with your
good. Yeah.
ideas and you've been working on this universe, and then
Yeah.
you come up with the characters, and in your head there's a storyline that's kind of evolving. It kind of writes itself probably, right?
Yeah, so I mean, typically, so like, there's a lot of different ways that writers write.
Mhm.
The way that I do it is, well, the way that I do it now is, I will, create the characters, I'll create the environment, I'll just put the characters in that environment, and then I'll see, I'll create like a history, of things that happened that got the world to where it's at right now in that point
Yeah.
in time. And so then from there, I'm just like, okay, what problems would naturally occur? Like what issues would pop up? What things, do they run out of resources and that starts a war? Is there, like, does it become a utopia? Like what would happen at that point if this were to happen? And so that's kind of how I end up writing it. And then, I create whole character sheets for my characters. So like, whatever decisions they make is based off of their personality, their experiences, and things like that. So it's not like I'm forcing them to do it. It's like, oh no, I want them to make this decision, so that's what they're going
Right.
to do. It's like, no, this is how they act, this is how they behave, so this is how they
Mhm.
would respond in that situation. And so it makes it a little more challenging for me too, because then it's a more natural and organic story, and you can't
Yeah.
bend it as much. You can't like make it mechanical. So
Yeah.
I have to co-work with my
With
characters.
your characters.
Yeah.
And but Basi, I have a friend who's been a New York Times best-selling novelist for decades, and she told me the same thing. Though she said the books end up writing themselves. You'll have something in mind that's going to happen, but then the characters take over and
Yep.
take it in a direction. So that's very interesting that you have the same experience. And
Yeah.
she's
No.
been, like I said, she's been a writer for decades. So
Yeah. That's funny that I mean, and that's reassuring too, to know that, like, oh, okay, sweet. Like a New York Times bestseller
yeah, yeah.
does that too. Like, I'm on the right track.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you wanna are you ready to tell about the book that will be coming out? Are you ready to tell
Yeah.
anything about it? Okay.
Yeah,
Hang
yeah,
on.
we can definitely talk about it. Yeah, I've
Okay.
been I've been holding on to it for a while. So it's interesting, this idea. Actually, I've been holding on to it for a while. It was an old idea that I had, and then when I met you guys, I was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to be able to like use that. So
Mhm.
um, the title of it is Regicide. It's called Regicide Havoc. And so the concept of regicide is, so I mean, the word regicide is when, like the king or queen of some place is killed, or
Oh,
like
okay, I didn't know that.
yeah, a leader is killed. So that's what
Mhm.
regicide is.
Okay.
And so the concept of it is like, when maybe there's bad leadership somewhere,
Mhm.
maybe there's just things like that, like not questioning leadership, but keeping them in check, and recognizing, like, hey, you serve your constituents. Like, this
Yeah.
is not you being a dictator, this is you serving the people. um that type of thing. And not even just in the context of countries and kingdoms, but I mean, even military or other
Yeah.
organizations and businesses, or even in a family. Like, the leader so it has certain services that they're
Mhm.
it's their responsibility. And so it's
Leadership.
yeah, leadership, and so, and to lead us to serve. And so
Mhm.
that's the concept behind it. And so with this particular one, so it's a cyberpunk
Mhm.
genre. And so it is, if anybody doesn't know what cyberpunk is, it's set in the future, very technological. A lot of times, like, corporations are the ones that actually run things.
Mhm.
um, and so it basically follows an immigrant from a futuristic nation in Africa called New Dunia. And so he moves to what is now known as Byzantium, um, to build a better life for his family, because there's a corruption and stuff going on. So they move here, and they get here, and or so he arrives, and he joins the military in order to get his family to move over as
Mhm.
well, which is actually real life.
Yes.
People do that
Mhm.
in America today. And so so that part of the story, like I wanted to talk about that experience of just of people moving from different countries and coming over here, and like what that kind of might look like, just to bring some voice to that. My wife is Kenyan, so like she was born in Kenya, so like her family moved over here, and so that was just a very interesting process and journey for me to learn about. But then I also have battle buddies in the Army too that are from Africa that moved over here, and they're telling me like their family still lives in Africa and they're trying to get them over here. So
yeah,
it's just something that I wanted to kind of bring a voice to. And so as the main character, Shaka is his name. As Shaka comes over and he joins the military, there's actually some weird stuff that's going on, and everybody gets kicked out of the military. Like all of the human soldiers get kicked out of the military, and then they get replaced by these robots. By these tanks. And so now he's over in this new country, no job, no way to get his family over here. So he becomes a mercenary in order to save up money to get his family over. And in doing that, he makes two friends. One's name is Colin Garrett, who is he's a retired racer, and he's a good dude. He's pretty cool. I like his character a lot.
yeah.
And then the other one is an Asian fellow known as Dogu. I believe he's Japanese. I think that's where he's Japanese, but his name is Dogu Tokugawa. And so these three guys are this mercenary group known as the Reavers, and so they are basically helping Shaka to be able to be reunited with his family. And in the process of doing that, they get hired by a freedom fighting force that is fighting against the government now.
Okay.
And so as they join them in that fight, there's a lot of conversation about, because they're fighting the government, which both Shaka and Dogu, two of the characters, they used to be soldiers. And so they have a lot of dialogue about like, oh, well, I didn't have a good time in the military, while the other one did have a good time. They did have a good experience. And so it brings a lot of that conversation to, how everybody has their own experience.
Yeah.
It's not an objective thing. If you know how to leverage it, how to make it an asset, you definitely can. But sometimes, things happen and it doesn't work out. And, it's up to the people inside of the system to fix those things, and to make it a place where it's only beneficial, where it's not, it's always going to require sacrifice. That's the nature of the job, but, not necessarily inconvenience.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there will be inconvenient things, but it should just be sacrifice, not inconvenience. And I think that's the most irritating part, is how inconvenient it is a lot of times. Like, yeah, sure, I'll go get shot at, but like, why do we have to do this on Father's Day or something?
Exactly.
Like we have to go and do this thing on Christmas or something. I don't know. So there's things like that where, there's a lot of conversation that is happening and needs to continue happening within the military, within, political spaces. And so it just kind of touches on those things. It even starts getting into like veteran homelessness in a way, and kind of talking about that type of stuff. I name drop the 1111 project in there too.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, so I just kind of, I'm sprinkling in all kinds of things. And the way that it ended up coming together was actually very natural and organic. And it surprised me how easy it was to write it, considering how different these elements were. So yeah, I was very pleased with the final product and the outcome. So I'm super excited for people to be able to see it. Yeah, we're actually working on the crowdfunding campaign, so we're going to be launching that soon, and talking to a couple of social media influencers, some cosplayers, and people in that realm of things, and they're going to be helping us out with promoting and marketing and just being a part of the project too. So I'm super excited. Like this is,
I am too. I can't wait to see it. And so y'all know, Basi's doing a crowdfunder, and 1111 Veteran Project is helping with it. And so we're raising money to print the books. But once we get the books paid for, we would love to be able to keep raising money to put veteran-owned businesses on the car. I just think it would be so sweet if we could have a car wrapped in the comic
Yeah.
next year and then have only veteran-owned companies own it.
Yeah.
And that would just be so cool. So anyway, y'all, that's what the crowdfunder is. It's primarily to pay for Basi's book being printed so that we can get it out there. It's really, it's got some important stuff in it. And
Yeah.
I love the way it blends the cultural stuff and military and everything.
Yeah.
But so we're doing that. And it's to help get other veterans own the car, veteran-owned businesses own the car.
Yeah. And that's honestly, I mean, it was crazy because that when I did the pitch competition at first, you know, it was like, oh yeah, they'll put your logo on the car, and it was like, oh cool, like that's dope. I want to do that. And then as we continue talking to each other, we're like, hey, this could probably be something bigger than just a logo on the car.
Exactly. Ryan and I had that conversation as soon as you pitched. We left the room and we were like, the gears were turning.
Yeah.
You know, you're charismatic, you had great ideas,
Thank you.
and blah, blah, blah. So, but yeah, what people don't understand is it isn't so much about the race that day. Yeah. It's about everything around it. It's about, if you want to look at only the marketing stuff, you know, it's about evergreen content and all that stuff. But like you said, it's way more than that because we develop partnerships with everybody that we work with, and we find out ways to help them grow, you know, and then that comes back around to help 1111 raise more money to help more small businesses grow. Yeah. So it's kind of an engine we're getting going.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I'm super excited because that's also like, that's kind of one of the goals for my company as well, is to, you know, evolve into a platform for other minority creatives, for other veteran voices, for other, you know, just all these different marginalized groups to be able to centralize and, you know, create things of their own. And, you know, it's really, and this is what I tell people too, it's really just a banner. Like my brand and my logo is just a banner or a flag that we can rally under. And when people see it, they know to expect a certain quality, a certain, you know, and they just know like, oh yeah, we know these guys. We know what kind of stuff comes out of that company. So we like it. And
that's what a brand is. Everybody thinks a logo is the brand. It's one tiny part of the brand. The brand is your reputation.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that's really what, because I mean, people will ask me, like, I'll let people know, like, hey, if you want to publish something or whatever, like, contact me. You know, we'll see what we can do. And one of the questions, which I love that people ask it, but you know, they're like, well, what do you get out of it? And it's like, well, you know, I mean, it's a business. Like, there's different things that we can do, but like, apart from that, this is just what it's for. Is for you to be able to tell your story. So like, regardless of if, you know, I'll just show you how to do it. Like, I don't need anything from you. I'll just show you how to do it. But yeah, so but a lot of times people actually just want to work with me, and so I'm talking to a couple people right now about publishing some stuff through my company, and which I'm very excited for. It's very humbling to have people, you know, approach me, but like, I would love to publish with you. I'm just like, dude, I'm some random guy.
Yeah, but you are going through the University of Life, and you're in the master's program now, where these people haven't even started. And that's the thing. If somebody has the money, even if they're not wealthy, they have enough to pay you, it saves them so much time. They can learn from the mistakes that you've already made. Yeah. And so they're getting a jump start on everything. And that's to everybody out there in the audience. Yeah. You have value in all of your knowledge and experience, your whole life, not just your work knowledge experience, but everything put all together. Every one of us is very unique. And so every one of us has a real niche that we fit into. It's up to us to discover ourselves and find it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. Yeah, that was well said. I definitely, that's one thing too that I share as well. And it's interesting that you said, I hadn't thought of it in that vernacular, but just like you're going through the college of life, and now you're in the master's program where there's freshmen who are coming in that are looking at you like, hey, how do I find this class? Like, what is this? Where's this teacher at? Like,
the very basic stuff. Yeah. That at one point that was you. And so,
Yep.
So if you can get a mentor to help you, it makes the ride a whole lot easier.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Mhm.
I've been trying to figure out how to use the word surreal for like 5 years, but it's very surreal, I think.
Yeah,
If I'm using
that's
it right.
funny.
Yeah.
Um, my daughter's going to a con in New York to work.
Oh yeah.
She's an artist. I think it's in November, but I don't think it's one of the Comic Cons. I can't remember which one it is.
Mm,
But y'all will probably run into each other at some point at something. So I'll have to
maybe.
show her your name and I mean your logo and all that when the book comes out.
Yeah.
Show her the book so that if she ever sees you, so that
Yeah,
would be cool.
absolutely. Well, tell her if she's up in the Twin Cities on the I think 3rd and 4th. There's a con up there. It's pretty big.
Of November.
Yeah.
Okay, I know she's not going to that because of the New York thing, but she did do that one year.
Mm.
I remember she did do that one year. So, but anyway, so what has been your favorite thing so far about starting this?
Uh, I don't know, honestly. Like it's all just cool.
Everything is just
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah. Well, have you had a really big problem that you didn't anticipate or that you surprised maybe something that you would have thought would have been small that ended up being a big problem? Can you think of anything like that? I hate it when people put me on the spot like that. So
No,
don't
I
worry if you don't come up with it because I don't usually ask questions like this.
so as an actor as well, improv is part of my repertoire.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's no
I
yeah.
forgot that. My son-in-law is an improv
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. So yeah, I have no issues being put on the spot. I actually prefer it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so I mean something that was a problem that I might not have expected. I mean, maybe like the amount of stuff that I have. This is like one that's pretty recent. The amount of stuff that I have, like if I'm going to set up a table somewhere, I had to
Yeah.
end up I ended up buying a cart so I could carry it, but like I did not expect to have this much stuff. I thought it was just gonna be comic books and excuse me. And then as I like started going to other events and stuff, I'm just like, okay, I gotta get some artwork, I gotta get some stickers, I gotta get this. So now at this point, I've bought a table, I've bought a tent, I've bought a cart, I've bought like just all this stuff, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, geez, dude, like
Yeah.
it barely fits in my car. So
Because when you get there, you've got to do all the merchandising. You have to set your table up, your display up, so that it entices people to come and buy your stuff
yep.
instead of the other people around, or in
Yep.
addition, excuse me, to the other people around.
Yep.
So the publishing itself, that's when do you think you're going to launch it?
It depends on how we want to do the crowdfunder.
Mhm.
Whenever that gets over, and then fulfilling those rewards and shipments and stuff. But definitely by the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were to start it, so it's October now. I mean, it's definitely going to start sometime this month. So I mean, early October, we'd probably be doing stuff around holiday time, like Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe around
Awesome.
that time. Yeah.
And I know y'all, we're still working on the crowdfunder before we launch, so we don't have things finalized, but there will be rewards. You'll be able to get the book, you'll be able
Yeah.
to pre-order the book, and but there are also going to be some other cool things in there. I guess probably some limited edition things, maybe.
Yeah, so one of the things I was thinking about is doing a like alternate cover,
Hmm.
and then possibly having my signature on there or something, or I don't
Those
know,
are really
just
popular.
like
Those are really
stuff like
popular.
that.
Yeah, because one person gets it, and that's the only one,
Yeah,
and a lot of times a lot of times authors will have like several alternative covers that
yeah,
they put up. But anyway, I think that's really cool. So y'all need to stay tuned for the crowdfunder. And then this coming weekend, you're going to be in Indy with Copland, right? At the
yeah,
race.
yep. Yeah, I got my plane ticket and my I think I got an Airbnb or a hotel or something. I think it was a hotel.
Well, hopefully you got something to stay in.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I mean,
Yeah,
I've slept in a hole that I dug, so
exactly.
I'll
You
be
can
fine.
figure it out.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. But
You're
yeah,
gonna
no,
have you're gonna have so much fun. I won't be there, but y'all, this is Basi will be on the car as part of him winning that pitch competition. And we have another veteran who will be there, Gerald Young,
yeah.
who's the founder of Young G's barbecue sauce. He'll be there as well. So y'all need to make sure you get a lot of pictures and video together.
Funny story about him. I walked into Walmart one day and there was some guy that was like talking about, hey, there's this barbecue sauce. This guy owns it, and it wasn't Gerald, but it was like
Oh,
some
it
dude
wasn't
that
Gerald. Okay, gotcha.
it wasn't him. He had somebody doing it for him, and
Okay.
so like he's telling me about it, and I'm like, you know what? It's veteran owned. It's healthy. It's dude's from Iowa. I like barbecue sauce. This sounds like a good deal to me.
Mhm.
Uh, one of my favorite barbecue sauces now.
Really?
It's in my fridge, and so I literally when I actually met Gerald at a men's retreat because we go to the same church,
Oh,
and
that's
so
wild.
yeah, so I didn't even like what I'm saying, like this that kind of just happened, but
Mhm.
so me and him met at a men's retreat, and he was handing out his like cards. And I was like, dude, you own Young G's barbecue sauce? And he was like, yeah, that's me. And I'm like, bro, I literally have a bottle in my fridge right now.
That's hilarious. Was that before the conference
That
that
was
we met
before,
y'all?
yes, that was before the
That is so
conference.
funny.
I was like, I put it on my eggs, I put it on my chicken. Like I love the barbecue stuff. And so it was cool that like I met him, we went to the same church, and then he ended up being at the pitch competition too. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. And so now we're working together, and I was like, that's it. So actually, it was funny because one day after church, he was like, "Hey, let's put together an ad page and put it in the book and this, that, and the third." And so that's how we like literally as we're walking out of church, we did that. So
Oh, okay, cool. So it'll be an ad page or will it be part of the story?
yeah, so I think I'm gonna just have it be an ad page. I wanted to do it in a creative way where it was like part of and we probably might still be able to try to work it in
Yeah.
somehow, but I didn't want it to look like it was part of the story and then people kind of miss the fact that it's
Yeah. A
an
real
actual
thing. Yeah.
actual
Yeah.
barbecue
Yeah.
sauce. So yeah, it's just that he sent me over his ad page to put in their centerfold.
Cool.
So yeah, yep. So
I'm
that yeah,
so
funny story.
excited about the book, and I'm really excited about this weekend. And for y'all out there that don't know it, Colin has already clinched or cinched whatever, locked in the national championship for the TC America
Oh wow.
series that he's in. And so even if he can't race at all, he's already nobody can overtake him in points.
Yeah.
So up there this weekend, it'll be official, but he's already locked it in. So y'all get to be there for a really special time for us and for him and for 1111 Veteran Project. I feel like we're coming up on a watershed moment. You and we together, I feel
Yeah.
like we are.
I can't wait to meet him. That's my like
Oh,
I'm
you're gonna love him, and he's gonna love you.
like we met over Zoom and he seemed
Mhm.
so I was like, yeah, we probably would have hung out in high school because me and him are the same age. So like
Yeah,
I'm like we probably would have hung out in high school.
yeah, he's really chill,
Yeah.
really doesn't have a big ego, and he does not like to promote himself. He does
Yeah.
not, so he's not like one to put himself out all over social media. I mean, he's out there, but he's like just putting out what he wants to. He's not worrying about followers.
Yeah.
But you stick a microphone in his face when he hasn't even gotten out of the car. He's only got one leg out, and he's like that.
Yeah.
No stage fright, no nothing. He's just, it's just natural.
It's
So
confident.
that's pretty cool to see. And I mean, when I first met him when he was racing, he was only 19. He started when he was 15. He was 18 when I first met him. He started racing when he was 15. So I saw him at 18 even. I was really surprised because most professional athletes or celebrities or whatever have to go through all these speech classes and all the whatever to learn how to react and learn how to answer things. So that's pretty cool. But you're gonna love him and he's gonna love you.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. That is interesting that you bring that up. I do like as personable as I am, and I do know how to navigate some things naturally, but like what is that media training? Like,
Yeah.
there's certain things that I've learned from watching people's interviews. Like, one thing in particular, I think it was some young celebrity or something, but they asked him, they're like, how much do you make off of one of those things? And he responded, it was like, how much do you think I make?
Oh,
And
no.
it's and apparently that's something that they learned in media training. So
Oh,
like,
really? Okay,
yeah,
so
it's
that
like,
they didn't have to answer.
yeah, if you flip it around
Okay.
and ask them like, how much do you think it is? Like,
Mhm.
yeah, so that's one thing that showed me. I was like, okay, even with how like witty I am, I
Yeah.
think it would still be beneficial to like for
Oh,
me
yeah, it couldn't hurt. It's
yeah,
so funny, though, and, yeah, I've worked with a lot of celebrities and, like, a Daytona 500 winner and people, and, they all do that. They all go to
yeah,
not speaker training, but
yeah,
media training, speaking training, not like
yeah,
at a podium, but how to talk,
yeah,
because, of course, if you wanna especially if you wanna be in advertisements or
yeah.
anything commercials, anything like that, and then there's a possibility that we might be doing some kind of short animation project, right?
Yeah, so with that, I'm thinking. So I there's something called a motion comic, and so basically a motion comic, you just take the still panels from the comic book, you
Mhm.
add a little bit of motion in there. So like, maybe the character is moving against the background or something,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you add in voice actors and background music and sound effects and those different elements and stuff. And so that's like one step towards a full animation. But it still is an animation style in its own right.
Mhm.
It's its own. So it's technically still considered animation, but a
Yeah,
lot of people who aren't like super familiar with the nuances of the industry will hear animation and they're expecting like
yeah.
Naruto or Dragon
But
Ball.
like South Park, the
Yeah,
little
yeah. I mean,
it's
even even less than that though. Like,
Mhm.
it's so I have one out on my website.
Okay.
It's if you go to my website sensostudios.com, click the movie tab,
And
and
it's 2
it'll
eyes, y'all.
yeah,
That's
Sensiil. Yep.
yeah.
Um,
So click the movie tab.
yeah, you click the movie tab and it'll take you right
Okay.
there. It's on my website or on my
Yeah.
YouTube as well. But yeah, and so if you go there, you'll see it's just like still panels. But there wasn't as much motion in that one that I want to do in the next one. And so for Regicide, I have all the layers and stuff from the artist, so now I can actually put a lot more motion in there.
Cool.
And so yeah, so that's definitely something that we can do that would be pretty low budget, it's very a tangible goal. It's very feasible to
Mhm.
do. And then also we could use that to pitch it to a studio that has the capability to do a full animation.
Full anima yeah, that would be so cool.
Yeah, so but I mean, and aside from that part, we could still put it on Netflix or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever,
Mhm.
depending on how long it is, and because they have certain requirements for stuff. Uh,
Okay.
but I mean, yeah, that's definitely something that I have in my mind. Me and Ryan, every time we talk, is like he's like, dude, I think this could be huge, and
Ryan and
I'm like,
we all
Ryan, bro, you don't even know. I'm already working on book number 2. Like, I'm
I know, yeah. We all Ryan used to say that he and I share a brain. He used to say we share a brain, but a
yeah,
couple of years ago he started saying that we share half a brain because we
yeah,
both are like big picture people and
yeah,
let's do it, let's do it. And so
yeah,
yeah, I know I can imagine what he's saying. Yeah.
yeah.
He's got high, lofty goals and great vision. He's a visionary.
Yeah, no,
I
and
want to
I
ask you.
love it.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
I was just saying I love it. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. I want to ask you, what is the name of your studio? What does that come from?
Yeah, so a sensail is a word from the Ge'ez language in Ethiopia. And
Okay.
so it is derived from 2 different words, sensol and se'il. And so a sensol is I believe that is artwork, or it's art. And then se'il is a chain or like an accordion or something like
Okay.
that. Or I might have those switched around, but
Hmm.
I had did the research on it and said, so when you put those 2 words together, it makes sensi'il, which basically means sequential art. And
Okay.
so
Gotcha. Gotcha.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so the idea behind that is, there's different versions of comic books or whatever around the world. In Japan, they have mangas,
Mm-hmm.
In the U.S. and Western places, they're called comic books. Korea has their own version of it. China has their own version of it. So, um, for Pan African cultures, we should have our own as well.
Yeah.
And so, using the name Sense-Il is a homage to back to the motherland,
Yeah.
back to Ethiopia in particular, but just really encompassing the the richness of the different Pan African cultures
Mm-hmm.
that are out there. And so,
That's
I
cool.
yeah, I really love Ethiopia. One, because I believe it's the only African nation to never have been colonized.
Wow.
It
I didn't know
is,
that.
yeah. So it's one of the only places that has like untouched, unadulterated, like artifacts and things of that
Awesome.
nature. One of the actually, I think the oldest church in the world, like outside of Israel,
Mm-hmm.
is in Ethiopia. Um,
Wow.
and I mean, even if anybody knows anything about like biblical stories and stuff, there was a queen, an Ethiopian queen that was very prominent in biblical stories and stuff. And so there's
Mhm.
a ton of history in Ethiopia.
Is Ethiopia the place in Africa that some people think the Ark of the Covenant is at?
Yep.
I thought so. Yeah,
Yep.
it's a monastery, right?
Yeah. They yeah,
Everybody, I want to find
people
that Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, people think the Ark of the Covenant's there. People think that the Garden of Eden was probably there.
Mhm.
People think a lot of stuff was there, and it would make sense. I mean, it's right
Yeah,
there in
it
the.
would make
You know,
sense. Well, and I when we we think about where our ancestors are from and everything, and people forget that mo well, a lot of people their ancestors originated in Africa. And like when I did a DNA thing a few years ago, Northern Africa,
yeah,
and then it branched off from Northern Africa, went up through Europe and
yeah,
went through the Middle East
yeah,
and joined back up like in Britain,
yep,
Great Britain, Ireland, Scotland, England. And
yeah,
so, I tell people, I'm like, we are all so much more alike than we are different. But I still, I want us all to come together, but I love to celebrate the differences because
yeah.
it makes everything so much richer.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, everybody's ancestors
Yeah.
originated in Africa, and so it's just a matter of not making it a big deal. Like, okay, whatever you okay, so you're Icelandic, or you're Norse,
Hmm.
or you're whatever, like, or okay, you're from South Africa, you're from Nigeria. Like, okay, cool. That's fine. Like, do your thing. That's cool. Oh, you have that food? Let me try some. It looks really good.
Yeah.
I love food, so that's immediately what I think about. But and just celebrating those things and coming together to celebrate those things, and then in the places where you disagree with stuff, just disagree. Like, you don't have
Yeah. You
to.
don't have to try to force each other's hand.
Yeah, yeah, and
That
that's with anything too. Like,
right.
different ideologies, different belief. Like, it's fine to not be on the same page.
Yeah, that's okay, and that's what makes life fun. If we
Yeah,
all agreed on everything, it would be so boring.
yeah.
Talking about, different cultures and stuff. My parents, we technically I grew up under poverty level, and in the late 70s, we had the first migrant workers from Mexico here
Mm,
in Virginia, to pull tobacco. And my sister and I were taking Spanish, and she was doing translation for like first responders and stuff, and I would do it if she wasn't around. But my parents didn't know anything about Mexico, speaking Spanish or anything, but they were always very curious and they always wanted to learn. And so we made friends with this one guy named Mauro, and it got so every Sunday we would have his group over, and they would cook their stuff and bring it, and we would cook American stuff, and they would bring their musical instruments, and we would play music and eat, and it was just so
yeah.
much fun. And my mother, when they would go home for the winter, my mother, and this is going to be funny to you, she would mail a letter to my sister who lived a few hours away for her to proofread because she was trying to teach herself some Spanish. She would write to Mauro and his family and send it to my sister for her to proofread. She'd send it back and then she would send it. But my point of all that is they enriched the migrant workers' lives
Yeah.
and the migrant workers enriched their lives. And it was a beautiful thing to see. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. No, absolutely. There's so at my first child's baby shower, like my aunts and uncles and whatever were there. Her family was there, and so like she has they brought all their Kenyan food, and then like my aunts and uncles, like they're so funny. Like it's because they're kind of they're kind. My family's like from down south too, so
Mhm.
so like my grandma was from down south, and so like we have a lot of southern stuff, and so I don't know. It's just funny how they're looking at all this Kenyan food, and they're like, how do I eat this?
That's so funny. Well,
Just like
I
you
don't
just
think I've
take
ever
it.
had
Yeah.
Kenyan food. I've had Ethiopian, I've
Yeah.
had South African. I don't know if I've ever had Kenyan. I'm not
Kenyan
sure.
is really good. It might be not too different from Ethiopian,
Mhm.
but you know there's always going to be differences and stuff. But I think they might be close enough to where there's a lot of similarities.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's a lot. They don't like spicy stuff,
Oh,
which
they don't? Okay.
yeah, like I like spicy
I
stuff.
do too,
So
yeah.
it's super easy to eat and get into because it's not like you don't have to worry about it being too spicy or anything like
Yeah.
that. Like it's but there's they have this stuff called gima that's it's very similar to fufu. And so if you know what fufu is,
Mm.
it's an odd texture. It's not slimy, but it's malleable, and
Mhm.
you kind of like slurp it a little bit, but it's like a
Is
little
it is
ball.
it like their starch? Or
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what starch is honestly, but like, is that like
like,
flour?
like potatoes and stuff have starch
Oh,
in 'em, bread, potatoes,
I don't know.
whatever.
I don't pay attention to none of that. I just throw food in my mouth. I
But
don't pay
is it
attention
like
to
a
it.
meat or is it a vegetable or is it
Oh
something
no,
they
yeah.
made?
So it's like I think they make it with flour. I think they make fufu with
Okay.
flour.
Yeah,
They
okay.
you make gima with flour. So I'm assuming
Okay.
fufu is made with flour, but
Mhm.
fufu is a little more watery.
It reminds
And
me of something we had in Hawaii, and I don't remember now, but it was this white stuff, and anybody who's gone to Hawaii will
yeah,
know, and they'll think I'm stupid, but it was this white stuff, and it was like a ball, and,
yeah,
it kinda reminds me of that. It's probably nothing like it, but
yeah.
this reminds that's why I asked if it
It's
was a
crazy
store.
how many cultures have such a similar
I
which
know.
that's another piece of evidence that shows you how like our common ancestors kind of moved across the continent
Exactly.
and everything. Because
Yeah.
I mean, even if you look at in the Caribbean, like so my wife has been making friends, and she's been like so one of her best friends, Diana, she's Mexican, and they have a lot of foods that are similar and stuff. And one of the things that they kind of bonded over was the common use of plantains.
Oh, yeah.
And so my wife was like, "You guys know about plantains?" And Diana
That
was
is
like,
so
"You
funny.
guys know about plantains?" So yeah,
But they
it was
cook them
really cool.
differently? Is it very different?
I mean, you basically treat it the same way. Like you'll eat it with
Yeah.
different dishes and stuff, but I mean, a
Mhm.
plantain is a plantain. So
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, you can fry it or you can eat it raw, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's why I wondered if they made it any kind of exotic way that I'd never heard of that'd be, like, way
Oh
out
no,
there.
yeah, it's a plantain's a plantain. You know,
Yeah,
you just do what you do with it, and it's
yeah,
good no matter what
that's right.
you try to do.
That's
So
funny. Well, I need to come up there. Sometime when I'm up in Des Moines with my cousin, I need to come over and eat some of that
yeah,
Kenyan and Ethiopian
absolutely.
food.
They love okay, so I'm gonna tell you what they love. This is one thing. I'm so un-American sometimes because like when it comes to hosting people and like all this other stuff, I've been exposed to this and I'm so grateful for it. But like they love hosting people. You come over, they
Mhm.
cook all this food, and so now that's like starting to rub off on me
That's funny.
because
You that throw
it's
the
like
doors wide open and just
yeah.
welcome,
So
right?
well, so honestly, like if you just let me know, we'll call her aunt
Oh, that would be
and
fun.
they can because they have a pretty nice sized house. They can like
Uh-huh.
they have a big nice dining room table and stuff, and like
That would be so cool.
they'll cook a whole thing. You can try all of the Kenyan food.
Oh man, that would be so cool. Our neighbors when we lived in Florida were Filipino and he joined the Navy so
Yeah,
that he and his family could come here.
yeah,
So, and so but anyway, every holiday if we weren't coming back to Virginia every holiday, they would always invite us over for their feast and we'd get to have lumpia pancit and all
yeah,
that stuff and it was so good. So I love all the cultures and I love learning about them and
yeah.
it's fun.
No, my I actually one of my battle buddies. He's well, he last I saw him, he went to Poland. I think I haven't seen him since, but but he's Filipino, and then actually the author, or not the author, the illustrator for this book
Oh yeah,
is
I'm glad you held those up.
he's
Okay.
he's from the Philippines as well,
Oh,
and
cool.
so
Is
he's
that your first book, Basi?
yeah. This is the first one that I published last year. Actually, the 1 year anniversary of it just passed. So I published
Okay.
it October 1st last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically, it's kind of like Alien, run from the monster, try not to die.
Oh yeah.
Um, and yeah, so it's an introduction into my main comic book universe, which is it's separate from the stuff I'm writing with Colin in it. But
Okay.
this stuff is like the stuff I've been working on for like 5 years now.
Okay.
And so these characters kind of just set the tone for, you know, the types of things that happen in this universe,
Mm-hmm.
and they pop up later on in the main series as well,
Yeah.
which this is the first chapter of that main series.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
let's see if I
I
can
love
shine
it.
some light on there.
Yeah, that looks so good. Now, didn't you say that your son, the main character, is based on your son?
My daughter.
Oh, your daughter. Okay.
I have another
Oh,
one. I have another story that I'm writing where I'm using my son
oh,
as
okay.
the main
So
character.
the
Yeah.
the character in the book with Colin is based on your daughter.
No. This one is my daughter.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm sorry.
The one,
That's
yeah.
cool. I didn't
No,
realize that you had a daughter also. I
yeah,
just
yeah,
knew you had your baby who's so
yeah,
cute.
yeah. My daughter's usually at school whenever we hop on Zoom or anything,
Yeah.
so she's always out the way. But yeah, she's super cool. I actually I don't have any right here, but I have this art print of the main character, and they
Mhm.
have the same name, Azriel. And
Uh-huh.
so ever since I told her that, she's like, "That's me," and so
Oh, that is so
she
cool.
knows that the character is her. And so
I love it.
I got an art print of the main character, and I showed it to her, and it's on my TikTok. And I was like, "Azriel, who's this?" And she was like, "That's me." And
Oh,
I was like, "How does that make you feel?" She was like, "It makes me feel really good." And
oh, that's so
I was like,
sweet,
"Cool,
Boss.
you want to hang it up?" And she was like, "Yes." And so it's like hung up in her room now. So
Oh, how old is she?
she just turned 4.
Oh, I
Yeah.
miss those days. My kids are 33 and 35. That's like they're older than you are.
Yeah.
Way older than you are.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like I forget that I'm only 26.
I know.
So my siblings are 6 and 8 years older than me.
Okay.
Those are like because I had those are my two full siblings, and then I have two half siblings who are, I think, even older than that. But so like I'm the youngest of an older generation. So like my family is on the younger side of a big family. So
Mhm.
my dad has 20 siblings, and
Wow.
he was kind of on the younger half of that. And
Mhm.
then I'm the youngest of my family, so like I'm on the younger side of the younger half of the but it's an older generation. So like I said, they came from the South. They have a lot of like we say yes sir, yes ma'am,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
like
Mhm.
all that stuff. Like I grew up with that. Like I do that.
Mhm.
So that's why a lot of times like I'll be with my peers, and they're like the way that they handle things and behave. I'm just like, what is
Mhm.
wrong with you? I don't.
I know, really. I know you just said yes, sir, and no, sir, and whatever. Yes, ma'am,
Yeah,
to everybody. And I mean, I even do it at the McDonald's drive-through,
yeah,
even if it's like a teenager.
yep,
It's just but a lot of people are like, oh,
yeah,
that makes me feel old. Don't say it. They don't understand it
yeah.
if they didn't grow up
I'm like,
around it.
listen, I went through rigorous training to say yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, and it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
gonna stop.
Exactly. We got in big trouble if we didn't.
Yeah,
And my father had 10 brothers and sisters.
yeah,
So I know, I mean, I'm familiar. That's not as big as 20,
yeah.
but I'm familiar with, that whole thing of, and as a matter of fact, his youngest brother is basically more like a brother to me because his mom died when he was 14. So
Oh,
he moved in with my parents, and it was right when my older sister had just been born. And then, like a year later, I was born. And so
yeah.
we grew up with him in the house for a few years, and then he moved back. But yeah, so he's almost like more like a brother than a regular uncle.
That's how I relate with that a lot, actually. So I have a couple of cousins they're about my age, and so my
Mhm.
dad actually raised them. And so
Mhm.
whenever I introduce them to people, they're like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's my cousin, uncle, brother." Because my grandma adopted them,
Uh-huh.
but they were my age, and so my dad ended up raising it. So it's like they're my uncle, but like they're my brother, but like they're not actually my brother, so like they're my cousin.
But they feel more like your brother.
Yeah, so it's I
Mhm.
usually would say like, "Oh, that's my cousin," and
Mhm.
then when people realize like, "Wait, your grandma adopted them?" I'm like, "Yeah, so technically they're my uncle." And they're like, "But they're the same age as you." And I'm like, "Yeah, we grew up together. We would
Oh,
go out
that's
and hang out." Like,
hilarious.
so we're actually like brothers more than
Oh,
anything.
that's
But
funny,
yeah,
Boxy. I
so
love that. Well, I've had so much fun talking with you. I can't wait to see your you got to make sure that you and Gerald get a lot of pictures
yeah,
and videos this weekend. And because and I'm not saying this for Colin, I'm saying for y'all because
yeah,
it's really cool stuff to have in your back pocket for marketing for years. It's
yeah.
just something different,
That's very
that
true.
other people don't have. But I'm so excited. I can't wait to see y'all's pictures from up there. I just know you're gonna have a blast.
That's
And
very true. Yeah, no,
we'll be talking tomorrow, I guess, about the crowdfunder.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So I'll see you
I'm gonna
tomorrow
try my
afternoon.
best to get some pictures and stuff. I was trying to get some somebody to go up there with me, just to help out, grab some pictures,
Yeah.
whatever, or just take a trip. I don't know.
Mhm.
So I'm
So
still
you don't have anybody?
not yet. I'm gonna try to get some. I'm gonna see if my cousin, because I was able to talk my cousin into coming with me to Chicago.
Mhm.
A couple months ago. So I'm gonna see if he wants to come and hang out, because he likes cars and stuff. So him and his brother, they work on cars and stuff. So
Okay.
I'm sure they would have a blast, like being at
Oh yeah.
yeah
That would be good because then you can be in pictures instead of being the one taking them all the
yeah
time,
yep
So, here's Ian. Yeah, Ian. Hey, Ian. Have y'all haven't met, I don't guess. Ian works with the team. We met years ago, right at the beginning of this, through Racing for Heroes. And he says, "Oh, they're going to be in Indy." He's looking forward to meeting y'all. Yes, they will be there, Ian. Yeah, I met Ian the very first. Well, I went out to Racing for Heroes for a meeting, and then like a few nights later, I went out to a social thing they had, like a South Carolina bowl or whatever, crab legs and potatoes and shrimp and stuff. And
yeah.
that's where I met Ian the first time. And he's like really immersed in what we're doing. He's amazing. So I love you, Ian. I'm glad that you're here. And I'm really glad that you get to meet Basi this weekend. Y'all are going to love each other.
Yeah, can't wait to meet you, dog. I'm gonna see you down there. We're gonna have a good
Yeah.
time.
And Ian is a veteran. So
Oh, sweet. What branch?
yeah. Yep. Okay, so before we go, tell everybody again how they can find you, how they can connect with you,
Yeah. Yep. So it's Sensil Studios. Let's see if I have like a QR code or something. I know I do somewhere, but it's just sensilstudios.com, or if you want to get me on social media, at Sensil Studios, SENSIIL Studios. I'm most active on Instagram. I post a lot of pictures and stuff there. So I don't know if anybody wants to, like, let me see if I can
Oh, cool.
get this in
I
there.
love it. Yeah.
If you want to,
Oh, okay,
if you can screenshot that or something. I don't
Okay,
know.
yeah.
But
I'm gonna try it really quickly and see. I might even be able to do it from the screen. Hold on. If I can get my phone
get it
going.
closer there. If people want to
Just a
scan
second.
that, it'll take you right to my website. Is it working?
Yep. It's even
Boom.
more. Yeah, it's working. So yeah, even through the screen, it's working. So yeah, it'll be on there, but I'll do a screenshot of it and put it in the notes, the
Cool.
comments and
Cool.
stuff.
Yeah. Yep. So find me on all social medias, my website. I'm on YouTube and all kinds of things. So yeah, and there's I have some free to read web comics on my website as well, if people want to check those
Oh,
out.
cool. Oh, look, here's Ron. He says, "I'll get all the pics I can take while I'm there. It's going to be awesome." That's awesome, Ron.
Sick.
I'm glad that you're going to get some because we got to have Basi and Gerald in the pictures, not
Yeah.
taking all of them. And Ian's so sweet. Love you, Lisa. So honored to have been part of this journey and all the things we're doing. Basi, I was in the Air Force for close to 8 years. You're gonna love Ian.
Chair
Y'all are
Force.
I know, yeah. My husband used to laugh. He's like, "Yeah, the first thing the Air Force does is build." I don't even remember now. What did he say? The store. I don't know what he said. There's just the joke of they build all the amenities first. You know how all the services you have to rag on each.
Hey, I can't even hate on them though. They they played it smart. They make sure that they're comfortable. They
heck yeah. That's right.
My grandpa was a firefighter in the Air Force.
Oh, cool.
So it's I love making fun of people. I have a
Yeah.
lot of family members that are in the military as well. My stepdad, his son, and then my brother-in-law were all Marines. So I
Oh, wow.
often make a lot of jokes about them eating crayons.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And people who aren't familiar with the military, that's just the way it is. It's like with
Oh yeah,
colleges and sports
yeah.
teams. You know, you got to get your digs in, but you all love each
It's
other.
all love. Yeah, I was gonna say it's all love. Like nobody actually cares either. Like
Yeah,
if you're like when you're interacting with each other, nobody actually cares.
yeah.
It's
The
just
only way
something
you
you
would care
do.
is if it's an outsider who has nothing to do with the military and they don't know
Right.
what they're talking about.
Right.
So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yep.
like anything else. All right, Bossy. I had so
Thank
much
you.
fun talking
Me
with you
too.
tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow, okay?
Absolutely. I can't wait.
I'll see all of y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.